What's up, everybody? This is Battlefield Joe 97 here, giving you the thoughts and feels of movies, with the latest installment being Marvel Studios' latest film that is already out in theaters from a few days ago, and that is Doctor Strange. And to make the short end of the stick when it comes to this review, for people who have not seen this film yet, go see the movie. Especially go see the movie in real 3D, IMAX 3D, just any screen that has 3D in your ticket valid. Because I'll be honest here, for how much I paid for like $14 for the 3D ticket, for the 3D admission of this movie in my local theater, I will say this: Doctor Strange is one of those movies where the 3D actually benefits the movie itself, at least when it comes to the visuals. Because at least with the 3D of Doctor Strange, it's not like the bullshit 3D where it's like in your fucking face to see like, whoa, look at the 3D, look at the 3D like in your face, like say Amityville 3D, or the House of Wax 3D, or the Spy Kids 3D Game Over, where it was just this all the fucking time when it comes to its 3D effects. If I were to make a comparison with Doctor Strange, it would be like James Cameron's Avatar. The 3D isn't really in your face for the most part. It actually enhances the depth of field when it comes to the visuals alone. And Doctor Strange's visuals are the biggest highlight of the movie itself. Not its story, not its characters, not the acting. It's the visuals itself, because it's so spectacularly good. Like, you see it in a big screen in the theater, and the 3D light coming in, it's like, it's really good itself. I'll just say this right here: if you don't give a shit about Doctor Strange, Marvel, or superheroes in general, but you want to at least see something spectacular, I still say go see Doctor Strange for like how much the 3D tickets are in your area, because it really is a great time to be able to see the movie. But let's go into spoiler territory for any of you who actually did see the movie like me. So I'll get this out of the way when it comes to the story itself. The story is that of an origin movie, in the same vein as the first Spider-Man movie, the first Iron Man movie, just basically any origin superhero movie itself. But at least it goes straight to the point, like really fast, to Doctor Strange at least getting his powers, trained to be like the mystic Sorcerer Supreme, fighting against these certain bad guys and evils itself. Now, granted, I would have loved for him to fight Dormammu or at least Mordo, but at least they're going in the whole vein of like building up Mordo to become this kind of antagonist for Doctor Strange, at least in the sequel. With Doctor Strange 2 is definitely going to happen with how this movie is successful, just like any other Marvel Studios movie itself. And Dormammu, even though in the final scene in the movie where Doctor Strange is like, you know what, I did this deal with you, Dormammu, I did all these fucking repeating sequence of events, I don't want you to come back here. At least, from what I'm assuming, Doctor Strange 2 is going to have Mordo going to every sorcerer, or at least some trainings that deny their kind of acceptance to be like the mighty Sorcerer Supreme, just be like regular humans in the real world. They take his powers, and somehow, some way, Mordo tries to get Dormammu into our world. And then Doctor Strange, Thor, or whoever tries to stop Mordo from having Dormammu in the real world. At least that's what I'm assuming, because I really would love to see Doctor Strange 2 happen. Because Doctor Strange, like any other origin story movie, it's okay, or good. At least in the 6.5 out of 10, or 7.5 out of 10. It's good, it definitely is worth the purchase on Blu-ray, and at least definitely worth the 3D viewing for the visuals alone. But the story itself is not really that captivating that much, so anyhow, Stephen Strange is an egotistical doctor. He gets like into a car crash, which I gotta say, for the visuals being good in the movie itself, the way the CG handled from the car crash was pretty laughable. Like, the CG looked like it belonged on a 6th generation video game, like on PS2, original Xbox, or the GameCube. Like, it looked really fucking cartoony. Like, it was going, wait, let's get out the car. It was like so fucking cartoony. And of course, I would have loved that they had a bit more time with him being in this kind of condition, but they rushed it in order for him to be somewhere in the East, in order to be trained by the Ancient One. Which, of course, I will say this right here: I would have loved if an Asian man did play the Ancient One, but since Marvel wants the Chinese to be the biggest marketplace along with the United States, they're going to have to cast the Ancient One as a female. And I'll be honest here, the actress that played the Ancient One was pretty good. She was entertaining, and I actually did like believe in what she was saying in her role itself. And yeah, the visuals spectacular when it came to that moment of the Ancient One like pushing Doctor Strange out of his body from the astral projection. And it is so good. Like, that moment itself, like, I'll be quite frank here. A good friend of mine on YouTube, like Chris Denma or Neo GameSpark, when he did his preview/review of Doctor Strange in one of the Monday screenings, he then said that, like, okay, this might be, like, the best movie for a stoner. Well, I'll say this right here. I doubt a stoner who is, like, extremely, extremely high and then sees this movie, like, in crystal clear HD or in 3D. I doubt they're gonna survive. I think they may have a seizure from how fucking intense the visuals are, like, at least at that moment where Strange sees all the possible, like, shit that goes on. And then he's, like, trembling. When he comes back into the real world from the Ancient One, he's like, teach me. Teach me. Like, he's fucking like, whoa, I seen some shit, you know? And then, of course, throughout the movie, he's training, and then it comes to one of the nitpicks that I do have for the film itself, which has been a trait with Marvel movies since Iron Man, and those are the quips. The quips are starting to get a bit old with this movie itself. Now, granted, the quips do work in certain occasions, like, since this is spoilers for any of you who have not seen the movie yet, I should have been out here already. One of those scenes of Stephen Strange in the library, and he meets the librarian Juan. He's always like questioning him, like, why don't you smile? Do you ever like contact the outside world or whatever? And then of course he mentions like artists like Beyonce, and he's just like, yeah. And then the next scene when Stephen Strange steals some books with like some portals in the library, and then cuts to a joke of Juan actually listening to one of Beyonce's songs. Now, of course, I did have a little chuckle when he was mentioning Beyonce. It's like, this is the Marvel quip. But then when that scene actually happened, I was bawling my fucking ass off. Like, wow, this is actually funny. This actually has a sort of quip to it. And of course, that's the biggest highlight of the quips and the jokes for the movie itself, because it's, you know, it's kind of hit or miss, mostly a miss when it comes to the jokes, but when it hits, it definitely hits, as I mentioned beforehand. And then, of course, another negative that I will say about this movie, just like with most Marvel Studios films, is that the villain is disposable, forgettable, and dies, or at least will likely appear in the sequel or some other film itself. And I'll be honest here, I forgot the name of the villain itself. The only ones that I give a shit about is Mordo and Dormammu himself, which I want them to be the main villains in Doctor Strange 2 and 3, because I can see the definite possibilities of both of those characters being bad guys for Stephen Strange, especially Mordo, who was with Stephen Strange, training with the Ancient One, and then I'm getting ahead of myself. It'd be freaking amazing as all hell. So yeah, the villains are disposable. I don't even remember their names. Moving on from that negative point that has basically become a staple within these Marvel Studios films. It's kind of sad, but that's true. And then, of course, the ending... the ending I actually really do love as all heck. So basically, Dormammu's like servants, their minions, they're going into like Hong Kong, the UK or London, and New York, basically having like these kind of 3 points within the world in order to awaken Dormammu. And Dormammu almost gets to the real world. But then Stephen Strange goes into the portal and meets Dormammu, and then, of course, when the meme comes in on Facebook, Dormammu, I have a bargain. And then, of course, boom, boom, boom. Like, he gets killed instantly, and he's like in an infinite, like, Tsukiyomi. Like, going in and out, and out. And, of course, Dormammu's, like, fucking, like, bored. It's all hell. It's like, stop this shit. Fine, fine. I'll make a deal. That's, like, one of the biggest highlights of the movie, along with the visuals itself. Because, oh, wow. It was just something else from it. So, of course, Dormammu leaves. Everything is at least somewhat back to normal. Mordo is like, you know what, the Ancient One betrayed me, such and such and such. I'll do my own shit. And then, of course, in the end credits itself, it shows that Mordo, like, takes one of the guys that Stephen Strange, like, meets in order to find out the Ancient One's secret, not the Ancient One's secret, the Ancient One's location somewhere in the East. And, of course, that's at least what I'm speculating to be what Doctor Strange 2 is. Mordo, like, going around the world, finding, like, these disciples of the Ancient One, like, abandoning their teachings in order to live their normal lives, kills them, or at least takes the substance that gives them whatever they wanted the training to be in the first place. And then Stephen Strange finds out and tries to stop Mordo, and then somewhere, maybe towards the end of Doctor Strange 2, Dormammu comes out, or at least maybe Doctor Strange 3 in the beginning or middle of that film, Dormammu comes in the real world. Because honestly, I want to see Dormammu like in his flame skull-like appearance. Not flame skull, his flame-like appearance, because it would be really fucking cool as all heck. So yeah, I'm basically just going off tangent, but at least I'm going in the sequence of events from what I remember from beginning, middle, to end of the movie itself. Because I'll be honest here, Doctor Strange is not really a bad movie itself. His story is kind of average for an origin story, but the visuals are quite good. And even though I will say the acting isn't that big of a deal. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange is good. Secondary, I would have loved Joaquin Phoenix to be Doctor Strange himself, but hey, Benedict Cumberbatch is a good actor. He does do good at being an egotistical doctor, and does learn the ways of not being that much of an egotist, and actually accepting help and being with people, right? So yeah, Doctor Strange, I definitely will say, is a good recommendation to watch on Blu-ray, and definitely to go into theaters right now and watch it in 3D, because the visuals alone are the biggest highlight of the movie itself. Anyhow, what are your thoughts on Doctor Strange? Do you think it was good, average, bad? Say it in the comment section below. Like, favorite, subscribe. This is Battlefield Jail 97. Catch you guys later.